Welcome to my review of Alex Kidd in Shinobi World for the Sega Master System. And this was an action game that I overlooked, and I didn't discover it until much later in emulation, pretty recently that I beat it. And I believe I did a tutorial on the game as well, which I'll post up in the description. But yeah, I overlooked this game. For one thing, there wasn't a lot of Master System games available at the time when I got the power-based converter, which was a cheap converter that you put on top of your Sega Genesis. Allowed you to play Sega Master System games. And I don't remember a lot of Master System games being available at the time, so it wasn't the easiest thing to come by as far as games. But also, I had a really shitty Alex Kidd game that I traded, and I got I forgot what it was called. I think it was Alex Kidd in High Tech Land or High Tech World, some shit like that. Horrible fucking game, real fucking cryptic. I never even made it to the action level, but I've seen videos of it, and it has these horrible action levels. I think I may have even tried it briefly, the action parts, and it plays like absolute shit. But yeah, so I didn't have a good impression of these games, so I wouldn't have really. I probably would have assumed it was another shitty game like that game. But this is actually one of the best games on the Master System, I think. Now, the Master System to me doesn't have a lot of great games, but it has some really good, it has the Dragon's Trap, Wonder Boy Dragon's Trap, Wonder Boy 3. And that game, I would say it rivals the best NES games. It's one of the best games of that whole 8-bit period, I think. But, overall on the Master System, there wasn't a lot of games that I felt like were really that good. I felt like a lot of them were like, bad versions of NES games for the most part. Now, of course, NES had a lot of shitty games too, but just on the average, I didn't feel like there was a lot of redeeming value to the Master System. Similar to how I feel about the N64, but I think the Master System was a lot worse. But it's always cool when you find a good game, on a system like that. So yeah, this is just a solid action game. You go through the stages as you normally would in these type of games. Kill enemies, move forward. And you have a few abilities. You have your sword attacks. And whenever there's these poles, you can kind of spin around them spin around on them and just shoot off in different directions. And you turn into a fireball, so you can kill enemies that way. So the game has a nice flow to the movement. You have some boss fights. I believe this is a parody of Fantasy Zone games, so it has some references and shit like that in the game, I believe. But it's just a solid, good action game, and especially it really stands out for the Master System because, like I said, I didn't feel like the Master System had a lot of good action games or games in general. I've played a few exceptions on the system, but I can understand now if I only owned the Master System, I would have made the best of it, obviously. And I would have probably found games that I liked because that would be all that I had to play. So I would have, made the best of it. And I did own a few games on the system, but most of them I thought were pretty shit. I got them off of trades, and Wonder Boy was amazing. Wonder Boy 3 was awesome. Loved that game. Reggie Jackson Baseball was solid. I wasn't a sports fan or anything, but I really enjoyed. That was just a fun game to play. But yeah, this would have been one of them. If I would have owned this game, I would have really liked it, for sure. But I just had the shitty Alex Kidd game. Now, I did really enjoy the one on Genesis. Alex Kidd on the Sega Genesis, actually. I know it's not a great game or anything, but I used to rent it. I used to enjoy it. It was a fun game overall. This game may even be better than the Genesis one. I think it probably plays better overall. It's more of kind of, it kind of parodies Shinobi with the name, and it's a little bit more like a Shinobi game than it is like an Alex Kidd game. Because, Alex Kidd games are usually clunkier, where you have, your fist, you try to punch shit. It's a super short-range attack. It's kind of shitty. And also, Alex Kidd games usually have boss fights that are based on, playing paper, rock, scissors, or whatever it's called, with the bosses to beat them. So this game, I don't believe, has any of that. So this game's really more like your standard kind of Shinobi game or something like that with a sword. So it's more in that style. And it's quite a good game. It's definitely one I'd recommend checking out, especially if you're looking for good Master System games. But just in general, it's easy to play on emulation. And it's a very enjoyable, action game if you're into that. I believe the game has limited continues or lives, so I think you do have to learn the game and be able to play straight through it on limited continues, from what I remember. But I don't remember it taking me too long to beat. I'm sure I have the completion time in my tutorial video, so if you check that video, you can see the completion time that it took. I didn't check before making the review, but I don't remember it taking too long. It was kind of a moderate difficulty game, but definitely a lot of fun. Now, of course, at the end of the game, you have your typical boss rush where you have to fight all the bosses again, or at least most of them. But kind of typical for games of this time period. So this is the end portion of the game. I believe this is the final stage. You can take a few hits. It's not a one-hit death type of game. So, that it's pretty forgiving in that sense. It's not nearly as hard as a lot of your typical NES games or anything like that. It's pretty moderate to easy, I would say. But you still have to learn the game, and be able to beat it on unlimited continues. So yeah, this is the final boss. He's kind of irritating initially from what I remember, but not too bad. Once you learn the basic, pattern and movement, it's not hard to execute. But it's a little challenging at first. Definitely the hardest part of the game. But, nothing that's going to make you shit your pants either. But, of course, different people will shit their pants at different levels of difficulty, so always have an extra pair of trousers available just in case. And this is your fucking prize for all your hard work. It's a great fucking prize. And this game is a nice solid game. I would give it a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching.